Oh, welcome back, Mac. How are you, brother?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Fantastic. Just a quick announcement. Ken's getting a day off next week, so we will not be having a show next week, but the week after we'll be back live again. But welcome, Matt, and let's open up by having you talk just briefly about your background, even though this is your second time on the show.
Yeah, pretty much just always been a home gardener, was super into organic before I discovered Elaine Ingram to begin with. And then, took the deep dive in, went to, did Matt Powers' regenerative soil course and working on finishing up the regenerative microscopy course from Matt as well. He's a great teacher. And pretty much doing a little bit of consulting on the side. Actually got to file my paperwork and get a LLC and start getting a little bit more serious. But pretty much just super into the microscopy and using it in the home garden to, experiment and just learn more about, how the soil health leads to healthy plants and so on and so forth.
Nice. Well, hey, before you go jumping into an LLC, look into sole proprietorships. The LLC doesn't really cover much as far as liability is concerned, believe it or not, because it's really still you as a person, as an entity, because you're not like a S corp or C corp. But sole proprietorships work just the same, and you've got less issues as far as reporting and more freedom. So just heads up, take a look before you jump. So what have you got for us today, brother? Let's get.
So we started with some wetland soil.
So this would be a riparian system.
Yeah, luckily we just got some rain. It was super dry here in Massachusetts for a while.
Where are you again in Mass?
We're right on the south coast, Westport, Massachusetts.
Right. Westport. Thank you.
Yeah. So got something interesting over here. Looks like that might have been alive at one point. I'm really hoping to find a tardigrade. Stumbled across that, and that could actually be a deceased one, but I don't see any of his claws or feet unless they're under him.
No, it almost looks like it might be a pod.
Yeah,
it could be an insect pod. It could be a
that's what I was thinking with that inside of it, unless that was just growing inside the organism.
that's the world of microscopy is amazing, and even though there's a lot of people doing it, there's still so much left to learn.
There's so much, you never know what you're gonna find. That's
and another thing too is that you're looking at a riparian system. Well, sometimes it's underwater and sometimes it's dry, so you really get a really big variety of organisms.
So this is where I took the sample from. Just bring that up real quick.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So we got a little bit of water in there, and here's what it looks like when it's actually fully flowing.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah. So we got a little bit of moss in there. So back to the microscope. Let's scan around. Maybe we'll find a tardigrade. Still been yet to find one of those under the microscope.
I've actually found a few over the years, but most of them have been in my compost pile. I've never really found one that was harvested from a soil system, so to say.
Yeah. But they're called moss piglets, so I tried to put a little moss in there.
There you go.
See what we can find. Oh, very large fungal hyphae.
Yeah, there you go. Nice saprophyte.
Yeah. Where's my...
Looks like there's a little amoeba underneath that to the left there too. Maybe it's not. It's hard to tell. What magnification are you on?
We're at 400x right now. Yeah. A couple of spots on my lens. Just actually had the optician next to me try to polish it up because I scratched the $800 lens a little bit. It's a very busy slide. Trying to find some spots where we can see.
Yeah, the dilution ratios, you're pretty critical when you're trying to.
Yeah.
I personally like a messy slide because I find more.
I like seeing more stuff. So I went a little. I did a 1 to 10, but there was probably a little bit more than 1 as far as 1 once I stuck the piece of moss in there and a little bit more.
Yep.
So you're probably a 2 to 10 ratio. Probably a little less.
So you had a very dry summer this year?
It was pretty good it was kind of a wet spring. Then got dry and then had a decent summer. But then September, I mean, end of August, beginning at September, we had the good, almost 20, 30 days without anything.
Wow.
Whole lot of bacteria down in here.
Yeah, it sure looks
interesting. But yeah, whole lot of rods. The bacillus shape bacteria.
What are you doing?
All right, let's see. And could actually go out to 100x. Probably have more chance of finding a bigger organism. Yeah, I'm going to turn down the light here so I don't blind everyone. As we switch over, I got it pretty good.
There you go. Nice guess.
Yep. So, so right here we got some moss.
Yeah, clearly. And I think it's good to explain to the audience that this is like looking through a 3-floor building. So you got to go up and in and out.
Yeah.
Everything.
So everything's out of focus. And yeah, the slide ended up being pretty deep, especially with this moss out. So now the background or the bottom of the slide's totally out of focus, but we got the moss in focus. Yeah.
You know, another interesting organism is the lichen.
Yeah. They look really cool under the
they're actually
under the microscope as well.
Yeah, 3 different organisms working together. So often it's 2 fungi in a bacteria. Other times it's a fungi, an algae, and a bacteria. So you just never know what you're going to find. I'm surprised you're not seeing more saprophytic action in this particular sample.
I'm seeing a couple of strands here and there.
You know, I have a question for you, and this is something that I've noticed over the course of my years of doing this, is that often I will do 2 slides of the same sample. And what I've noticed is like one sample will have like no nematodes and maybe some amoeba. And then the next slide will have like 3 or 4 nematodes, no amoeba, and some flagellates. So it's kind of a, and I had a long conversation with Andy Marsh about this, and she's like, yeah, that's why we're like so anal in how we take our samples. Like, you know, they shake like this 30 times, and it's not it's not like a heavy shake. It's more of a light agitative shake. And then, you know, pulling more from the top than the bottom, whereas I take the pipette and I squish in and out. So not only do I shake it, but then I stir it up again as I pull the sample.
Yeah, I find how nematodes will fall pretty quick to the bottom of the solution.
Yep.
So if I take from the bottom, I usually see twice the amount of nematodes than if I took from the top.
Yep.
Or I just try to go in super quick. Yeah, and like I'm sucking up like as I go down through, and then as quickly as possible. So I get like as soon as I finish shaking, I take the top off as quick as I can and put it in there, and then try to grab, you know, an average throughout.
It's a challenge, and then even though you're pulling, you know, like forget how many mils the actual pipette is. Maybe it's 1.5 mils or something, and out of that you're only taking 1 drop. So it's like you're taking a fraction of a fraction of a fraction.
No,
really going.
So in this frame, we're seeing a bunch of saprophytes. We got a strand there. We got a large one here.
Can you zoom in where it hits the?
Yeah, we can. You want to go to the top one, or want to look at these smaller ones here in the middle?
I like the top one with the big tail hanging down.
All right, yeah. Let's go right about there. Turn up the ISO, a little more light. And now focus. Ah, did pretty good. Oops.
Good guess.
So yeah,
There's
maybe a couple of,
prime example.
oh,
That hyphae is sticking up in the
yeah.
air, so it's difficult to focus on the whole
Hmm.
um, hyphae all at once. But look at the definition of those septi. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's interesting that they're slanted like that.
Yeah, that is a little unusual. Not completely uncommon, but
Yeah.
and can you see any of the nuclei inside the septies?
I go.
Hard to say, right?
Yeah, let's get on. Well, this one's sort of curved. Let's see what it looks like if we do the digital magnifier here. And we're already, yeah, that's about the best we can get in focus.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I can't quite. Probably have to switch over to the, even with the 600x objective, it's pretty tough to get a good image with this microscope. Someday I want to upgrade to the Lumen microscope.
Gotcha.
Got some clear saprophytes, but still uniform-ish. And then over here, I think we saw some other ones.
There you go.
Yeah. There's a couple more. But yeah. So much bacteria down there.
Yep, bouncing around.
To be expected in a wetland.
Yep. And just for the audience, the reason that the bacteria bounce around and the soil particles do not is a thing called the Brownian motion. So Brownian was the man that demonstrated that the Earth vibrates at, I forget the megahertz. It's the key for, I think it's E, although it's changed a little bit. But they are filled with liquid. They're aqueous. So they, of course, they bounce around the solution where the micro aggregates or particles of soil do not. And also why you need to go zoom in and out, because there could be stuff floating around up top on the third floor that you can't see because you're focused on the first floor. Oh, there's a big one.
That's a big one.
Very cool.
We're still in it. 400x here. All right. Could go back out to 100x to scan around. Oh, well, there's just a piece of a hyphae. It's actually a round.
Thanks, Sil, for the facts. Love it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. Yes. Actually, let me adjust the settings. Oops. And back up to. Oh no, I'm gonna go down. Switching back over to 100. See if we can find something larger swimming around in there.
You know, I'm very surprised that you haven't seen any facultatives. You know, those like the stoxiliates, the rotifers are very common in wetlands.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. I bet we see one here sooner or later, but it has been super dry for a long period of time. So they might have.
True. And then it looked like you had kind of a raging river there.
Yeah, that was this spring. And now it's just little puddles, and it was pretty much dry.
Got you.
For a couple of weeks before we got a rain on just 2 days ago.
You know, if we don't have much luck, we can also, you know, zoom all the way out and then do like a nematode scan across the slide to see if there's anything moving.
Yeah. That's a long one.
Yeah, it is. You'd get a big F to B ratio for that, baby.
Yeah. I bet we come across something soon here. Yeah, more and more hyphae. And the slide's so deep, I want to occasionally just zoom in and out.
Yep.
Because we could miss a ciliate swimming at the top of the glass instead of at the bottom.
How was your garden this year?
It did pretty good. Most of the things did well.
A lot of hyphae in that one.
Yep. We got some.
Isn't it funny how some years
there?
Isn't it funny how some years like your peppers do really good, and other year your tomatoes do really good? But it doesn't seem to hit on every vegetable every year. It's like
like my tomatoes did decent, but my beans did excellent this year.
Right.
The first run of sweet peas did really well, but my fall run, maybe they'll increase in growth. I got a couple, but they're half the height.
Yeah.
They only climbed up about this tall, where in spring they were up and over the top of the trellis.
Nice. Yeah, I love those snap peas right off the bat.
Yeah, I just want to be like, I'm the laziest gardener when it comes to harvest. Like, I just want things like peas, greens, lettuce. So it's like when I want a sandwich, I go out and grab some stuff, or just when I'm out in the garden, I just snack.
Yep, graze.
That makes it real easy when it comes to. Oh, we got a nematode.
Where? I don't see him.
He's right in the middle. We can go in 400x.
Yeah, nice.
Very translucent. Oops, sorry. Knocking over my mic.
You're good.
Yeah, there we go. A little bit more shade. Let's see him a little bit better. He's moving quite a bit, but we could try to zoom in and see if we can identify him.
Nice.
Usually you have to, that's the one nice thing about video is you can take a video and then freeze frame it afterwards.
I've typically found that the really fast moving, I call them whiptails, was what that looks like, is that in order to really identify them, you got to hit them with a match so that you can see their stomachs.
Yeah, I'm getting like a one frame or two. Well, I just saw a bit of his mouth.
Did you?
Just for a frame, but well, the viewers can actually pause on YouTube.
There you go.
Maybe get a decent shot. Oh, trying to get a frame or two of its mouth.
And to the audience, this is why nematodes are so important, is that they're great at decompacting soil. So as he's thrashing around, he's moving things throughout the soil solution, but typically like in situ in place in the ground, he's creating quite a disturbance. And not only is he creating friction, or she, shouldn't be a unit, I should call them they, them. They're not only benefit for the nutrient cycling, but they're really beneficial too for aggregate formation. Yeah, he's cruising, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I think I just saw his little heart-shaped. You
ever seen the one with the big lips on him?
Yeah, with like just the big wide opening, like square.
No, not the square mouth, but actually had lips, like big lips hanging off the front of them.
I don't think I have. I've seen him kind of have like a crown jagged mouth, like the predators.
Yep.
With a big open esophagus. And they're usually they can fill the frame on at 100x, let alone 400x where we are now.
Cheeto, it's okay. Come.
Yeah, and it's interesting how they move and how they waggle around. Like, I feel like the predators do that coil thing, and they coil up into a round ball, and then will go super fast and strike because they're and like this seems to be the root feeders kind of poke around like and squirm around quite similar, but just how what he seems to be going after is just all the bacteria. And he's just waving around.
Whacking
So
the
his
aggregate.
action, I would think, would be more of a bacteria eater. Oh, we just got a couple of good shots. No real. But everything in his head seems to be bending, like right there at his mouth. So I'm not seeing that, rigid spike in the head that doesn't really bend on the root and fungal feeders. So, right there.
Bam.
He held still for a little bit there.
Yeah, that was the money shot if you got it.
Yep. All right. And we'll go out back to 100x. We still got maybe a third of the slide left to scan around. Oops. Sorry, I'm blinding everybody.
Oh, that's all right. It really isn't that bad. It's probably worse for you.
All right. Yeah. Let's lower the ISO a little bit. A little more light. Right about there. All right. Bye, nematode.
Is that an insect part? That big red thing?
No, it's looking more
like a root.
Could be a root hair. Yeah, because it's got all sorts of either fungi or
wrapped around it.
Root hairs going off of it. Yeah, we're out at 100x right now. A clear fungal strand. Let's follow this. Yeah, that's pretty large for 100x. It is fungi. Well, I guess it could be a visible. One of those visible mycelium.
That's true too.
Yeah, it does split into it is very uniform and then splits, and this one's perfectly uniform. I think I see that looks like a septi right there.
Interesting. You want to zoom in on that and check it out a little more?
Yeah, why not? All right. So your 100x. Let's go back this way. More light. Now in at 400. And what do you think? Right or left? There it is.
It is. Very cool.
Seeing all sorts of texture and stuff in there.
Oh, quiet. And there's something wrapped around it too.
Yeah, so this seems like a totally separate, not coming out of it. But a hyphae that's wrapped around it.
There's another offshoot.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's spiky on that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of texture to it.
Is that bacteria stuck on the outside, like you see in an anaerobic condition?
Yeah. I don't see anything wiggling. We go all the way in. Ooh, we got
stuff wrapped
around. We got a little bit of that. Could just be the lens and the light, but we got some interesting phosphorescence or whatever.
Have you seen bacteria consuming fungi in an anaerobic or semi-anaerobic condition?
I have seen a lot of. Usually, it's larger strands, kind of like this, but I haven't seen them just all for some reason. They usually look different than all the other strands, but I have seen them crawling with bacteria before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually like a large clearish one.
See if there's a septi in one of those offshoots like you thought you saw before.
Yeah. Got a little brown nodule there.
Hmm.
Let's continue up. Yeah, that looks like
Something,
an
right?
angled one. Let's see. Was this just something? Oh, another. That might be something laying on top. Yeah, I thought it was right here, but that could just be this thing on top. But looks like there's a straight line there. Let's continue up. Oh, that's something laying on top.
There you go. What's that one? Right there.
Yeah, right up at the top here.
Yeah.
I would say that would be us.
Right? Looks pretty solid to me.
Yeah.
It actually looks like there's a nucleus.
Yeah, right above it.
Yeah, setting on top of it.
Hmm.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah, right there.
Uh-huh.
Oh. See if I could do anything with the focus. Huh. Very interesting looking.
For sure.
Right.
I would tend to classify that as a septi and a nucleus stuck up against it.
Hmm.
So very, very wide diameter. It's got to be a 15.
All right. Do a little bit more scanning around. Pump this up. Oh. All right, let's see what else we can find. Oh, a whole bunch more hyphae. Let's go back up.
Surprised you're not seeing more protozoa in here.
Yeah.
With that much fungi, it's clearly a healthy system. How do you scope for flagellates? Because that's always been a tricky one.
Yeah, they're quick usually, but with the big screen and when you're in at 400x, you catch glimpses of them. But it's always, I mean, you kind of got to scan around quick because you never know if that fast little bugger is gonna just, you're seeing the same one over and over again.
Or if he's hiding underneath the aggregate.
Yeah, or if they're hiding underneath. But usually, if it's a piece this size, it'll be wiggling. But if he's hiding under this, you're not gonna notice anything.
Correct. And I swear, I've seen him so many times just dodge right up underneath an aggregate, and you're like, "Damn, did I see that? Or is that my eye playing games with?"
Yeah, but they're tough to. It's really hard to ever see their single flagella or
the double
if they have multiple. Yeah, every once in a while you can catch a sort of blurry glimpse of it.
Yeah, and they have to be big too, like really.
Yeah.
Is that an amoeba?
I was thinking this is an amoeba, but I think it might be just a amoeba-shaped piece of sand there. That very thick three-dimensional edges from what I can see. All right, I think we were up this way before. So let's scan back down. We got a few more scans to go through. Very
nice.
busy.
We're only at half an hour, so you got plenty of time.
All righty. We'll take our time then. Yeah, I did want to mention and uh, just bring up consulting a little bit and just like how to approach, explaining regenerative soil to people. And it's weird. Like I've always found I get mixed results. There's the people that just want the piece of paper that says buy this, apply it here and then, and here's what it's going to cost. And there's like the other people that don't want, like, they're like generational farmers, around here, and don't really want to listen to anybody, like, because they just look at them all as being agronomists and whatnot.
Mhm.
And it ultimately seems like the MO around here is just like, oh, you don't need to, all you need is the, one application of lime in the spring, and then with a application of nitrogen, and then one more later on, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
Which
unfortunately,
does seem to work for a lot of people as far as what they're doing, but
yeah, it works great until it doesn't.
yeah, until it doesn't. And just trying to, like, how to approach the whole topic of, healthy soil grows a healthier plant. You're going to reduce inputs and all this.
Well, it was like when I first got into this and I started promoting organic fertilizers, like meals, alfalfa, feather, and stuff.
Hmm.
And people were like, "Oh, we tried, it doesn't work." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean you tried, it doesn't work?" "Well, I put it on the soil and it was there 3 weeks later, so it didn't work." I'm like, "Well, the reason it didn't work is because you didn't put any compost extract on it, because you don't have a living soil system yet. So of course it's not going to work. It's just going to dry up and gas off. So pay attention. First of all, you should have buried it. You probably should have just thrown it on the surface of the soil. And second of all, you obviously need biology, and that goes down that rabbit hole that you talk about or just talked about, which is like, well, I just want to know what to put on when, and that's it.
Yeah.
I want it easy. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, but this isn't easy. This is a very complex system that's been degraded over years. So it's not like you're even starting on a zero. You're starting on -10.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of other stuff that's going to have to get done, like chemistry. You got to get the chemistry balanced. Ooh, what's that? Plant matter.
Plant matter, from what I see.
Yeah. So yeah, you got to go start with chemistry. Like, what is your your pools look like? Your saturated paste look like? Do you have trace minerals? Because all of those things have really important functionality in the plant processes, or the way the plant processes things or actions. I'm doing a job now where I basically had to go back and say to them, I go, look, the plants are struggling. Look at your saturated paste. You have almost no potassium, and that's critical. And look at your salt. It's just plugging up all of your cation exchange sites. Your calcium isn't too bad, but it definitely needs to be bumped, and that's the only way you're going to get rid of all of that excess salt on your cation exchange sites. So, I go, I could do tea, no problem, but I would advise that we get the soil chemistry right before we do that, because you try applying chemistry after biology and it doesn't work very well. I mean, it works, but you knock back your biology.
Yeah, you knock back. It's kind of got to go got to go all in.
Right. Instead of taking one step forward and two back.
Yeah. And so we found this is a different one. Another one of those big giant amber strands. That's two just like that we found.
Interesting.
All right. Let's see. Where are we?
Have you ever seen one of those red or amber hyphae before?
Pieces, not that big though. I always kind of chalks it up to be, insect part or
well, that clearly wasn't an insect part.
Yeah, it was definitely not an insect part, because I've only seen like small little pieces of it. never a big long strand like that. But spend most of the time in the garden, and it's probably the second time that I've looked at the wetlands. Did it just before for fun. Yeah, like this is what I would see normally.
Just a little chunk.
Yeah, just little chunks like this. In the garden and just everywhere around here. But it's always like, that's the first time I've seen a big, long, intact piece like that. All right, where are we at?
And branching too.
Yeah, and branching. So.
Oh, go back up a little. That might be an insect part. A little more.
Oh, right over here?
Yeah, on the right, straight up.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Is that a leg or antenna?
Yeah, that looks like a leg. You can see the point right over here.
Yep. People often,
or a little antenna.
Yep. People often think of those as nematodes, but they're not. They're insect parts.
Yeah.
You can see nematodes like that, but they would have a bubble or a bulbous at the top where their head blew off. But they typically blow up from the head side, not the tail side.
And do you still usually see their internals for a decent amount of time? Like,
no, when they blow up,
they
pop.
clear out and
they
get clear pretty quick.
Yeah, they're like a water balloon. Everything blows out.
Yeah,
and it's probably consumed.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it was probably consumed by bacteria like instantly.
Yeah. More hyphae. Let's see.
I did once when I was down at Rodale see a breeding fungi, a hyphae that had a club on it. And I was looking at the club going, what the heck is this? I've never seen this before. And it popped and a whole bunch of spores came out of it. I was like, whoa, I wish I'd recorded that. But it was very
brief. A couple of clubs, yeah. I might want to just stick the camera on there. I could just hit record and walk away and then come back.
Well, the other problem,
lucky.
Yeah, the other problem too is the slide dries out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I probably only got about an hour till the slide dries, and hopefully I find one in the middle. Yeah,
and if you have a really chunky slide, they dry out even quicker. Is that it? That might be over to your right.
It looks like. But that's textured like more like a mineral, but we can see the slide already moving in here, piling up.
Yep.
But there's one last spot I wanted to check, which was down over here. Maybe there's a tardigrade or a ciliate hiding out in this corner. Maybe we'll get lucky. Definitely a whole lot of aggregation in these wetlands.
Yeah, no, that's a really good example of a well-aggregated soil.
Yeah, because it hasn't been touched in, I would say, 50 years at least.
Is it right along the edge of a field, or is it kind of in the middle of someone's property?
Oh, no, it's like in the middle of my property. So there was like, it's not for like maybe 150 yards where there was a new house put up, but then you get to the edge of the wetlands and there's a decent amount of room. And then my driveway kind of runs down alongside of it.
Gotcha.
And then when it crosses the driveway, it goes over to this little pond on the neighbor's property and then down into the river. And I think that's...
You know what we should do? Why don't you text Ken your address, and we'll have him pull up Google Earth if he has it, and kind of show the pond, the river, the house, the where you are, where the sample was collected. I mean, that's to me, that was one of the first things I did when I got involved with looking for a soil food web consultant to give me quantifiable data or quantifiable data.
Yeah.
Was talked to them about like, well, when you are looking at a sample, do you have any idea what it represents? And typically they were like, no, why would that matter? I go, well, because observation is 50% of science is like understanding where you're collecting it from. And were there variations in this project? Like, was it all pretty much consistently the same plant or the same soil system, or did you have variations like riparian systems or vernal pools or anything like that? Because those are different soil systems that therefore need to be addressed differently.
Actually, I could just go to. Yeah, I'm actually trying to bring it up right now.
Oh, cool.
Probably. Let's see. We are. Right about there. There's. And of course, we got. When's this? Maybe spring or probably fall, or maybe during the winter. But we can see a good amount. All right. Yeah. Let me actually bring this over.
Nice.
So here's me and the wetlands area.
Okay.
It comes right through here onto my property. So I took the sample from like right over here.
Nice.
And then it swings over like right around here, and there's that pond.
Okay.
And from there, I think it comes out right here.
Nice.
Into the river.
And what river is that?
The Westport River.
Can you zoom out?
Yeah.
There's the coast, right? Nearby?
Yeah. The coast is, you got to come down here by Ship's Rock. We got a bridge. And then you come to the harbor. Yeah, this is the harbor. Here's the beach and the coast.
Nice.
So how it swings through, it was popular during the rum running days because you can cut around the coast and you don't see the inlet.
Right.
From the ocean. So like the black duck and all stuff like that. It's kind of popular back in the day. Just a bit of history for you.
There you go.
But yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that tour.
Yeah, it's a very cool little ecosystem that I got lucky enough to have.
How long have you been there?
My whole life. The family built the place in the 50s. And then there was an old cottage that I grew up in and recently tore that down like 4 years ago and built a new place.
Good for you. Have you seen much change in the ecology since you have grown up?
Quite a bit on the river. Like one thing is just amazing. In the last 10 years, when I first built my floaty dock, I had to have like a perfect moon tide to not have to drag it down. And actually, just when the water got high enough to slide it down. And now it's like, you don't even need a full moon tide. Any decent high tide, it floats right down. And then over the years, everybody's concerned about the marsh erosion. And there is there's been an increase in boat traffic in the river, but I don't think it's really the boats as much as when it really started eroding. I noticed that all those little hermit crabs are not the fiddler crabs. I mean,
fiddlers, yep.
The ones with the one big claw,
yep,
and live in the holes in the marsh. They disappeared, and since then, the erosion, I feel, has drastically increased since they disappeared. So I think pretty sure them living in there really like strengthened it, and they structured it with their holes.
Well,
probably because they were doing their thing in there, feeding the biology and
feeding the
overall health of the marsh. Yeah.
Yep.
So I figured I'd jump on and let everybody know that we have a contest today. And so you're going to need to put in hashtag compost into the chat. and in about 15 minutes, we're going to bring it up and draw on a course for creating compost. I just thought I'd jump on and mention that.
Thank you, Ken. And where is this next sample coming from?
So the next one here is from my actual indoor bed that I've been working on for quite some time. Let's grab this one. So this is where I put most of the work as far as just inoculating, always, add in all sorts of, diverse mulch. Find there's bamboo next to me that's growing, and chopping that up, I feel like the biology absolutely love it. I don't know.
Is it one of the invasive, heavily
It is. It will spread. Yeah. So I basically help out my neighbors by chopping it back and not letting it escape. But they got it in a pretty good secluded area. It's actually right next to the driveway, so it can't cross there. And then they have a stone wall that it tries to cross into their yard, but they keep that back pretty well. And then I usually help just trim the area where it's trying to escape over to the neighbor's property. So works out pretty good. I get a bunch of bamboo to use as mulch. And
there you go.
All right. We need a dropper. Grab the new slide here. But well, did you guys want to do the contest now? I'm switching things out here.
I think he wants to do it in another
in a little bit.
Minutes. Yeah. So we'll just keep talking about
Alrighty.
So let's talk about what you've done to the bed. What did you start with?
So I started with let's see. So I actually mixed some of my local soil. I took some of my dad's soil from where he is in Rhode Island. And it's like he's got a lot of just just char, essentially. There must have been a forest fire or something. So it seems to work pretty good. And then I got some from Build-A-Soil. I ordered a couple of packs of their I forget what blend I actually got, but so it was a bit of everything. And
so with your soil, was it sandy soil or clay soil or silty soil?
A little bit of it's really nice, just good, 3-4 inches of nice black, dark, topsoil. And then after that, it's clay, like white and orange clay.
Gotcha.
And then you get down to sand if you dig through that, but it's a good 6 inches of solid clay before you get down to the sand. And then it's like Cape Cod sand once you dig down, probably, I would say 3 feet or so.
Gotcha. Well, that's fantastic. I mean, you've got all the building materials you need.
Yeah. All right.
Did you add any of the clay into your bed?
Yep. I did the horizontal system per your recommendation, pretty much. Started off with basically clay, pottery, some of those, what are they? The orange lava rocks. Forgetting the name.
Hydrogen.
Yeah. Some of that in there. Some just regular stone from around the property. Oh, we already saw a ciliate in here. Yeah, we're at 100x. So
something zooming around. There you go.
Yeah.
Now the reason they go so fast is because they have flagellum all the way around their body, so that they can change direction on a dime. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if we could move like that?
Forget there's for their body length, they move and accelerate like quicker than a cheetah.
Right?
There's one that's ridiculously fast. I forget what the actual numbers were, but yeah, it's like quicker than a dragster accelerating for its size.
and it's in water too, which means there's more resistance.
More resistance than the air too. So yeah, this slide's definitely way less busy as far as the dilution goes. But we got some organic matter.
Some hyphae of some kind.
Yeah, we got a nice aggregate. Small little hyphae, and then much more uniform looking one here. And then another little piece there, another little piece there. Yeah, I haven't actually checked this bed out in a while just because everything's been super healthy.
What's that little thing?
Yeah, we got could just be, we got a nice hyphae there, but let's just, while we're going through, I guess we'll just take a quicker look here. I think it might just be plant matter, but let's see. More light. Yeah, these were the scratches I was trying to get out of my lens. They're actually looking a little bit better.
You might have to send it off to get it polished.
Yeah, that's what the optician that's right next to where I work took a stab at it, and it does look a little bit better.
They probably used a little jeweler's rouge on it.
Yeah. Turn up the light just a bit more. They pretty much wash out. But I was trying to focus on, saw a very small, fast mover, which would probably be a flagellate. All right, but we were looking at that. So there was that one. Oh, there
it is, right up top.
Yeah, there's the spinny bumblebee flagellate. Just kind of using his one cilia to fling himself around in a circle. All right, so this is, yeah, it just looks like.
Yeah, it's just plant matter.
Plant matter. Plant matter being broken down. And then we saw a good one over here. Nice and uniform. Oh. There's a very small fast mover. All right, where are we on the slide? See what else we can find.
So how long ago did you set up that bed?
I think it's, I want to say 2.5 years.
Okay.
I'm on my fifth run, start to finish.
Have you had to add much organic matter to the surface?
Yeah, actually, I have a bit of an isopod problem.
Okay.
It's not really a problem, but you move the soil and it is absolutely just covered. Every time I water, like hundreds of them move up onto the side of the bed. It's kind of crazy, and it breaks down the organic matter, but I figure it's cycling nutrients, right? So it doesn't, and they don't walk up the plant. They don't eat the plants. It's actually a little tough to get a cover crop when I put like clover and I added some fenugreek. They will eat that.
So a little trick for those is to get a plastic bottle that you cut off the lid or cut off the cone part of it.
Yep.
And that's, like that's what you want to use. You put cornmeal in there. So you cut the bottom off so you have straight walls and a cone at the bottom. And you put cornmeal at the bottom of it. And then you bury the bottle so that the surface of the soil is flush with the surface of the bottle that with the bottom cut off.
Yep.
And then they smell the cornmeal and then they fall in and they can't get back out. And then you just pull the bottle out and replace it.
Yeah. I got to try that.
Yeah,
I've tried doing the same exact thing with beer, but barely any. Maybe 4 or 5 in there, where you think more would fall in that just by chance.
right.
Beer didn't really seem to work. Not like it does with slugs or something. I think the beer is more of a slug thing. But yeah, I gotta try the cornmeal. That's interesting.
Yeah, for some reason. Oh, what's no?
Yeah,
That's
what
another
is that?
nematode.
Hmm.
May actually be a nematode sleeping, huh?
Yeah, I don't see any internals or anything that would. It's just kind of shaped like a banana and has a ridge in the middle.
Gotcha.
Not sure what that might be. Something that was living. Oh, just saw something moving quick. Very small. All right, what do we think this is here? Kind of a weird looking strain.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to zoom in on that.
Yeah. There's something interesting in it. Yeah, it's really clear. I don't know if I can get. Let me see if I can do a little bit more shading.
Oh, that was a flagellate for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I can't really get it. Yeah.
It almost looks like a chrysalis.
It does continue all the way up this way.
Does it?
Yeah, it looks like it goes through and see what's sticking out the other side. Oh, just a clear bit. Could have been some type of algae or something. See if I see any more inside there. Yeah, because being right on the river, I do add a lot of kelp and stuff in there. So
Nice. And you're pretty much brackish water too, right?
yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, we saw how it wasn't all that far from the ocean, so it's pretty salty. And we got some. Look at all what's going on over here. Looks like we got a little symbiotic yeast and bacteria having a party over here. Can you see all the little?
That shape in the center.
Might be a bunch of bacillus with cilia. They're all little rods. Oh,
Oh, all right. The contrast has to be just right for us to see them.
yeah. See what I can do here. A little bit more. Right about there. Yeah, and if we zoom in on this, you can see them all.
There you go. Very cool.
How many you can see? It's just this whole big swarm. And probably a cyst. It's very small. Let's see if we can. And then we got underneath here. That's a big cluster of yeast, I believe. Yeah, kind of almost.
It's definitely a feeding frenzy, whether it's yeast or plant matter, or maybe even a bug wing. Something.
And all these ones moving super quick. You know. Yeah, there's one swimming through.
I love the airplane noise, that zoom, So, guys, just to let you know that we're going to have the contest here right away. So just put in hashtag compost into the chat and you'll automatically be entered. I'll give everybody a few minutes. Leighton, we're giving away your composting course, so maybe give us an idea of what people are going to win.
So this was a method that I used in New England. I actually started using it down at Rodale and actually kind of beat some of the lanes, or all of them, interns at the time. And when Elaine asked me, well, what did you do? I said, I cheated. And she's like, what do you mean you cheated? I said, I didn't follow your direction. I didn't build a cage. I built it right on the ground. I did it Hugel style. I harvested a ton of different greens and browns. I went out and I got some leaf mold that I collected on the other side of the prevailing wind on a stone wall. And she's like, wow, that's pretty creative. And I'm like, yeah. And then, using the old rotten log, I watered it with a compost extract. And then, at first I watered it to get it to be hydrophilic. And then I sprayed it with compost extract to get it to really take off. And yeah, so that's what I did. And so she was kind of mad that I cheated, but at the end of the day, she was thrilled that I was able to do something that her interns couldn't do. So this methodology is basically how I did it. And it works really well. And if you're in an arid area, you're going to want to set up a sprinkler system on it so you can water it until the plants really take hold. Once the cover crop or the plantings really take hold, then they shade the compost pile from evaporation or drying out based on the wind. And also that you're getting miles and miles of rhizosphere, so that's roots, and that's where we get the biology, the really good stuff. So it's a lazy man's way, one straw revolution focused kind of compost pile. I'm not sure if I mentioned that typically I'll go and start pulling up little saplings and other little shrubs or flowers indigenous to the area, and plant those too along with the seeds, so that I have some plants that are a little bit more mature than others. I typically would place it on an axis, so one side was facing the south and the other side was facing the north, and I would use more fungally dominant saplings on the north side, obviously, and also some clumps of indigenous grasses that I knew had mycorrhizae on it. So I really, I'd cover the gamut with diversity, which is what you all listen to preach all the time. So it's a great little tool for, something that you can make, as small as you want. I think the one I did would have been enough compost once it was done to treat at least 20 acres. So, and I did it in a matter of an hour or maybe an hour and a half. So it goes to show you that, and again, it's hands off once the plants get going.
Yeah.
It's a good technique. It works well.
Cool. Well, guys, we're going to bring on the contest right now. So everybody that's put in hashtag compost, you are entered to win, and let's run the draw here.
Watch you win it.
Our dog. So our dog, what you need to do, my friend, is just head over to or into the description, and it's all about the biology at gmail.com. Shoot me an email, and we'll get you the access code for the chorus.
Congratulations, our dog.
Yeah, congrats, our dog. It's gonna be some good compost.
And just so you all know, I typically would build one pile in the spring and then one pile in the fall. So I always had good compost.
So see this end of a fungal strand here.
So that would be a club. of some kind.
Yeah.
Is
Bit
it
of a club.
oozing?
But can you see this little tiny piece coming off?
Yep.
Super tiny. And there's a ball here and a ball here.
So those are probably spores coming off.
Yeah.
Can you zoom back in a little bit? Like,
we're already, but if we go back out,
there you
that's what we're looking at.
go. Nice. And sometimes that could be just the cytoplasm and the nucleus leaking out because you snapped it.
Yeah.
Right. That's typically another breeding method that fungi uses. They'll, off the main hyphae, they'll shoot off a little stick, like maybe one section, two septi and a center tube. And then there at the end of that, they'll form the club. And that way that once the club is releasing all the cytoplasm and the spores, it doesn't suck all the cytoplasm out of the entire hyphae like this would do. See, in this situation, it would just continue to leak the cytoplasm right out of the end. And there was a question. Peter Cactus, you didn't win it, buddy. You're going to have to come back next week and play again. Or, yeah, tag and we'll talk about it at the questions point. And then there was another question about black spheres. I don't know if he was talking about, there it is, the little bubbles, the little air bubbles, or
a spore. Yep. So that would be a spore, but black edges. The little tiny, these are all bacteria, and then we had a little flagellate moving around. That they're usually clearish though, but they look black when they're out of focus. Let's see.
You know what little air bubbles look like, because they have like a black outer coating and then a clear inner inside. So I don't know if he was talking about those.
Yeah, we did cross. I forget where there was a bubble.
Yeah, there was. You crossed a couple.
We crossed a couple of bubbles, but they're the big round is just the air bubble.
Yep, and they're always perfectly round, and they generally have a black outer layer and then a clear inside.
And then these spots are dust on my lens. Ignore those. It's really hard. You only know until, if you haven't worked with a microscope, you have no idea how hard it is to keep dust off.
Oh, dude, I live out in California. You have no idea how brutal it is out here. If you don't wipe the surface of something, it'll literally accumulate, 1/16 of an inch deep over the course of a month and a half, 2 months. And that's nothing. Like my car, because I drive to Peach Hill and it's all up dirt roads. It's just the whole back windshield is caked all the time. And of course, it comes in me as well.
I thought it was hard to keep a camera lens clean, and
right,
it's like times 100 with your microscopy lenses.
Yep.
A lot of aggregates with big pieces of organic matter sticking out of it.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more bug parts.
Yeah, with the amount of isopods in there, we'll probably come across some here and there. Nice fungal hyphae sticking out of this aggregate, gluing everything together. I did see one needle-looking foot earlier. I think I just passed by it.
That could be a cyst.
That kind of looks like an Arcella amoeba. And a fungal. Oops. I was going to that real quick. Well, it looks like that just might be something attached to him, but yeah, wiggling around.
Little bacteria sitting on the end of it.
Yep.
That was a great example of different size bacteria too. People don't realize that they're quite a few different sizes.
It's funny how we didn't even see a couple of those, and we're only seeing the light reflect off of those little tiny ones too. They're actually smaller. They're actually, it's like a blurred light that's bigger than it is in the lens. They can get really small. Yeah, actually, right. You can barely even see it. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to see it. I can see it on my screen, which is right now just set at 1080p. So should be getting pretty much what I see in the stream, just shrunken slightly.
Yeah, unfortunately on this platform, you can't get like full screen. It still works great. Don't get me wrong.
I do like Streamlabs. It does. And I do. I usually on my streams with OBS. That's one nice thing. Even though it changes all my settings all the time, but I can crop right down to a specific thing, so I can actually cut out all the controls and the dot bar and everything, which is nice. All right, let's see. Finding my place here on the slide. Just kind of scanning around slowly at 400x. See if we can find something else cool here to look at. But pretty happy with my aggregation level and whatnot. Still trying to get a couple more fungal hyphae. Let's see, what do we got here?
Yeah, what's that? Sorry, I had to mute for a minute. She just saw somebody walk.
Could be. It's whatever it is, it's broken right there. At the top. I don't think that's a hyphae. Oh.
That was really cool. Whatever that was that came around the outside.
Yeah. I actually got a pretty good look at it for a second. All the way zoomed in. Kind of see
and
the
I don't know
and everything.
That might have been a bacteria with a flagellum.
Yeah, I'm pretty close. But
or an algae, because some algae have flagellum as well.
Yeah, being in that close, it was definitely just about one of these little dot sizes. All right, let's see. What do we got left here? Actually, I was going up before, I do believe.
Yes, you were going up. It's hard to keep track, dude, when you're focusing. It's like, oh shit, was I going up or down? All the time. And it's reverse on the stage, which makes it even more complicated.
Well, it makes it a little bit easier because I can flip my camera around. So my camera's technically backwards on this. So
gotcha.
Now it's kind of going up and it's kind of going the right way, or at least makes sense to me. Well, here's a little. I don't think it's necessarily hopefully just a saprophyte. But it is a very white, weird looking strand. Usually not necessarily what I want to see.
Is it compared to the bacteria? Is it 3+?
No, it's like 2.
It's like a 2?
2, maybe 3 at the thickest parts, and I see a couple of little branches that are even smaller.
Yeah, the branches are cool. Are you seeing any septi?
No, not really. Not seeing any septi.
Well, do remember that in the first 7 to 10 days of a fungal spore beginning to hyphae, that you have clear with no septi. It takes 7 to 10 days for the morphology to be present. Now, there's something off to the upper left, that circle. right?
Over.
Oh,
I think it was just light refracting over in the corner.
Yep.
I see something big move over here. Yeah. But yeah, so but ultimately, as long as you don't see a ton of weird strands like this in there.
No, and remember,
Should be good.
they can be food too.
Yeah. They can just be a saprophyte but hopefully not actinobacteria or omycetes.
Yeah, a great example are omyces that, you need to have some in the soil.
Yeah.
And you
a
need
little
to
bit here and there.
Yeah, they're part of the soil food web. So if you don't have them, a small amount of them, anything that gets out of balance is when you have a problem. But even with some of the farmers I've worked with, who we were able to flip the soil, start to bring the ecology back, we would still bait for pests, and we still in some cases had pest pressure not as high as it was when we started, but still high. And he's like, well, why aren't they attacking my plants like they did? And I'm like, well, because they're getting consumed by the predators. That's why we released the predators. That's why we built the banker plants and the different pollinator gardens and hedgerows, was we wanted to increase the population of the predators to keep them at bay. But once you've got a good established ecosystem, it doesn't matter if they're there or not. They're part of the system. And I think people just, automatically start freaking out when they see, one pest. Now, in an indoor environment, that's a totally different animal. One loose predator or non-predator invasive or pest in a greenhouse or a tent can catastrophically wipe that thing out because there's no competition.
Yeah.
That's why it's always best to have, some preventatory measures taken in your tent or your greenhouse to prevent yourself from doing cross-contaminating or getting a pest outbreak.
Yeah, but so far so good. Haven't had any mold or really any pest issues so far. Oh, here looks like we got a spore just starting to grow here.
Yeah, there you go. Zoom in on that.
Yeah. It's going to stretch its way out.
Yep, that's exactly. I know what that is. I forget. It's not fusarium. It's not a pest, but it looks like a fusarium. But it's. Damn, what was the name of those things? Not a saprophyte. It's definitely a fungus. Damn. Oh wow. Brain. I'm old.
I always have to look it up every time. I don't even try to remember. Yeah, looks like we got an odd shape, but definitely an amoeba.
I'm glad that you pointed that one out though, because typically that little, we call them shmoo, so that extension off the right side of it that was branching up and got narrow and narrow and narrow at the top. Before it formed that, it was just like a boomerang with the 5 pods in it. So why that is pointing at the aggregate is because of chemosensing or quantum sensing. So that spore smelled or had a chemical signal that it picked up that it needs to grow in that direction. And this has always just blown my mind as to how this spore has this one shot. Like it's one and done. If it does not find a host, before it runs out of energy, it's gone. It just turns into, food. That might be another cyst.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. Looks like it's got some stuff stuck to it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would say there's somebody in there.
Almost looks like a nematode. Is it swirling in on itself? See that? The green line?
Right there where it's green, yeah. pretty tough to tell.
Yeah. It'd have to be further toward coming out of cyst for you to notice that the nematode. But I have seen cysts with you could actually see the nematode inside of it working its way out.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see.
Again, I'm surprised to not see as many amoeba in this.
It's yeah, one of the last times I found quite a few.
And they do go through shifts, and it
Yeah.
does depend on watering. Everything is, in cycles. I bum out sometimes when I look at my compost and I go, you know what, just for shits and giggles, I'm going to let it sit in the vial overnight and then check it in the morning. There you go.
There we go.
And I'll check it in the morning.
Amoeba right there.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Can you zoom in for the audience? Oh, look at the mouth and everything.
Yeah. Oh, his mouth is open.
Yeah.
Oh, go over that way, over there. Bing.
So again, I'd often leave my compost in the vial and then scope it again in the morning, and I'll see so much more life because they cyst up, especially in the latter part of the composting process as the material collapses down on top of itself. Most of the advanced organisms just cyst up because it's not as easy for them to forage because the bacteria have gone away. They've been consumed or they've gone cyst themselves because there's just not material to work on anymore. So little trick for you guys in the audience: if you do learn microscopy, don't get bummed out if you take a look at your sample and you don't see a lot of life. Just leave it overnight, check it again in the morning. You'll probably be a lot happier and more proud about what you're seeing. Again, especially with older compost, so more along the lines of a mineral-associated organic matter, not a light, fluffy, particulate organic matter.
So there's a clear strand that's probably a good young one because it's very uniform throughout the whole way.
Mm-hmm. Is it connected to that brown spore?
Yeah. So, no, well, this is just an aggregate over here.
Right at the end of the hyphae there. Up a little. There you go. That thing. Right there.
Yeah, it could be a. If we zoom in on that. That is looking like it might be popping out some kind of little spore right there.
It almost looks like the hyphae is coming from that spore too on the right. See how it's jetting out from it?
Yeah.
Or it could be that spore jet out on two different directions and it's sitting on top of it. It's hard to say. But typically they shmoo in one direction. But everything in nature's, there's always variation and variable. No such thing as a hard rule.
All right. Let's see. Another nice big aggregate. Just plant matter. Piece of sand. All right. There's the top of the slide.
That moving up there.
What was that?
It's just the side slide.
Yeah, just the slide moving it, I think.
It looked like it was going to be a rotifer, but
yeah. All right, so let's go back down right about here. Got a few more up and down scans left. Oh, looks like another. That might be a mineral.
Or it might be a teste with a flat mouth.
Yeah. Got a bit of a jagged point right there, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Could just be a little beat up from the slide. Flagellate in there moving this. Or plant matter all about.
There you go.
Bumbling around in there.
This is why it's so hard to find them, is they dodge underneath. There you go, you got them. I don't know how you did that, but that's what they look like. You have to have such a trained eye to see those things when they move the material. Like, look at that. You can't see it, but you see that tiny little wiggle, you know that they're there.
And at 400x too, just barely can spot them. All right, yeah, we were going down.
This is where it takes just hours of experience behind the microscope to train yourself to be able to pick up those tiny little subtle movements. And meanwhile, scoping or scanning across the whole slide, the whole view for organisms, like, I've found amoebas that were tiny, and also huge ones. So it's really, a matter of getting your eye and your brain fixed in on the shapes, so that when you are scanning across back and forth, that you don't miss stuff. I mean, I can't wait till they have an AI program that just scans the whole slide.
Yeah, it gives you a count. And
yeah, that's going to be an amazing day.
all right.
There you go. Nice little hyphy coming off an aggregate.
Yeah.
Well, audience, please let me know if you enjoy these microbe friggin' safaris. I love them personally, but there you go. There's a nice bug horn.
Yeah.
I enjoy spending time chatting it up with Matt and just watching the screen, not having to work while I'm doing it.
It's fun for me just scanning around.
Well, it becomes another world. It really does. And the more variables you have, the more unique organisms you'll find. Like, one of the coolest things that I found was where a lake turned into like this swamp. So it was this beautiful deep water, what we call kettles. So it would have been ice trapped underneath the area during the glaciers, and then as the glaciers receded, the ice melts and leaves a very, very deep crevice in this ravine. And where the water came out of it and transitioned into like a little, well, it was a river, but it was basically went into more of a swamp than it did, become a direct river coming out of the lake, because it was just whatever flowed over the top of it. And I saw so many different facultative anaerobes and crazy different, moving, nutrient cyclers. So these were organisms that had different shapes and sizes. I mean, it was just teeming with movement. And that was one of the exciting times I had in my life post Rodale. But for the most part, like when I did the lake water and stuff, I expected to see a lot of rotifers, because rotifers are critical for the life stages of fish when they go from larval to what we call larvae to not fingerling, but there's a step in between. But it's their primary source of food. So when after larvae, they have a yolk sac on their belly, that's the stage. And they live primarily on rotifers and stalk ciliates. So if you don't have a lot of them, then the fish that do lay eggs in that environment don't survive, which was really sad to see. I mean, again, I came from a fishery or aquaculture background, so I'm all about the fish. Ooh, look at that thing. That's interesting.
It's a tiny little naked amoeba.
That is cool.
Just oozing his way around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you didn't have a trained eye, you'd have missed that.
That's probably the smallest one I've seen, though.
Yeah.
I just saw him oozing around.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the typical, like, what do you call them? Arms and legs.
Yeah.
He's just like a pure loser.
Blood shape, yeah. Definitely a nice facultative species to see. I think I was going down.
I was ranting, so I don't remember. Didn't have your back on that one, brother.
It might have been going up, actually. Oh, we
What's
got
that?
a
Dividing?
diatom.
Is it? Or is that
Interesting looking.
a dividing amoeba? Because I used to call them kissing amoebas, but Elaine made me understand that no, the amoeba is just basically dividing. So it's turning into two organisms. That one's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's very, very square. I mean,
Could be a
almost square.
Not seeing a chloroplast, though. Something.
Yeah.
Something cool. But when you zoomed out, it almost looked like two amoebas kissing.
Yeah.
That isn't as good of a view. That's a good one. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Very. Yeah. Usually the diatoms have more square edges.
Yeah, or points and points and balls at the end of them. And typically, typically at this magnification, you can see the green chloroplast in it too.
See a little bit of green lines on the outside, but not like the little spring that you usually see in there.
The little solar panel.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Now there's an air bubble.
There's an air bubble. Kind of look like a black hole or event horizon or something.
Right? Maybe it is in their world.
Yeah. So them, yeah.
They get sucked in there and oxidized.
Yeah, I definitely succeeded in the goal of getting more flagellates and small protozoa in there, because that was one thing that was lacking.
Yeah, and you had a decent amount of amoeba too.
Yeah.
I'd say overall it's a good sample, dude. Your soil seems to be doing really well. Have you fed it any organic fertilizers or anything?
Just kelp meal.
Okay.
And I have some oyster shell as well.
Do you liquefy the oyster shell in vinegar first, or you just grind it up and throw it in?
I have a powder form, and I also do like a WCA with vinegar, and
Perfect.
that I'll add to the water.
Yep.
And I'll use eggshells and coag or oyster shells from the river. They're pretty tough to grind up. I usually just smash them in the mortar and pestle.
Yep.
But they're tough. They take a lot of grinding.
Especially the thick ones.
Yeah. I tried sticking one into a coffee grinder. That coffee grinder is no more. Only took about maybe 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, done.
Nope. Done. All right, where are we on the slide? Still got a little bit more to scan through.
Well, we don't have a lot of questions, so we can just keep scanning.
All righty. A lot of plant matter, big aggregate. Oh, another amoeba.
There you go. Wide open mouth. Nice.
Yep. Quick zoom on it. And caught the protozoa swimming by.
Yep, plenty of food in the belly. Good sign.
Alrighty. Let's see. Kind of interesting looking there, but almost looks like there's something in there.
It's almost like a smaller version of that other one.
Very squarish. Be a weird cyst in that shape. but definitely possible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I was going back up.
Yeah, this time you were. Is that a bug wing? That brown thing?
Could be. Definitely looks
Textured? It's hard to say.
got a little bit of texture on there. I can see some bacteria hanging out on there.
So somebody's eating it.
No. Let's see.
Oh, there's another bug part. I think the torn.
Yeah, this.
Yep.
Yep. Where was that? Saw a couple of spiky looking little legs earlier. Oh, looks like we got some. But more organic matter. Let's see, get close to the top. So, fungal spore in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
football shaped
Yeah,
one.
little footballs.
Mhm.
Oh, what's that hanging down?
Looks twisted.
Is it?
Could just be root hair or plant matter. Oh, what's this little? I see these occasionally. It looks like actually, I think these are. There's a type of diatom that kind of has these round nodules, I do believe.
Well, those look like chloroplasts.
Yeah.
And being you're so close to the ocean, chances are you're.
But yeah, just a little pea pod shaped thing with these green balls in there.
And unfortunately, there's something on the other end to cover it up. But that
Yeah, then there's this
typically that bottom the bottom that had the like little spear on the end of it. That's very common to see in diatoms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the same on both ends from what I can see. Oh, I saw a big blur move across the screen. Couldn't focus quick enough though.
Yeah. Always the issue.
Let's see. Big chunk of sand. Or large fungal hyphae. And thought that might have been an amoeba, but nope. Another round fungal spore there.
Yep.
And there's probably a bug part. Probably a bug leg.
What's that thing?
Yeah.
Some kind
Could
of
be another bug piece, but it could also just be plant matter. Hi, William. Glad you could join us. Let's see. More clear hyphae sticking out of there. nice looking dark one. That it's kind of hard to see the septi in there, but then another one over there to the right.
Yeah, but you gotta love those really dark colors.
And yeah.
I think I saw somebody in the chat talking about the brown ones being more fulvic or humic, and the lighter yellow ones being more fulvic, and that is absolutely correct.
That's cool. Yeah, I always knew it was one acid or the other. Kind of would get them confused. Yeah, that's good to know. And there's a really dark round spore.
That thing looks like a cherry bomb, man.
Yeah, I think there's just a little piece of something, but when I go right there, you can kind of see the light shining through.
Yep.
All right, we're almost at the top. More weird clear strands. And there's the edge of the slide. Oh. Everything's getting squished. But yeah, it looks like we got some fungal hyphae on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Something.
Could be mineral. I almost thought this was plant matter at first, but now seeing the fungal hyphae inside, still could be. But
yeah, I would tend to think it is plant matter with the hyphae inside.
Yeah,
it's probably an endophytic fungi that's gone from being an endophyte and moving into a saprophyte.
Yep. Digested away. Reducing.
Yep.
All right.
I'm getting ready to start its next life cycle.
Yeah. Let's get a little bit more.
Do you see a lot of those little springs? I think they're not cellulose springs.
Cellulose. Yeah. Quite a bit. Usually more outside.
Yep.
I see quite a few of them in the garden. I think we found one last spring. I think we found a couple of cellulose. But yeah, they're always cool. Just see a random spring down there in the soil.
Yeah, I know. The first time I saw one, I was like, "Hey, look what I found! Look what I found!" Oh, wait, that's just cellulose unwinding. I'm like, oh man.
Let's see.
Oh, something's moving that aggregate.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
Must be underneath. There's one little one there. All right, so that one moved away. Oh, yep, still moving. Still something under there.
Cheeto, you're okay. Oh, you guys are okay. I'm gonna mute myself.
There's a little small, tiny little cyst right there. I would guess that would be a little flagellate cyst. Small protozoa. All right. That's more. Just a little piece of hyphae.
Almost looks like a wing, too.
Yeah, I think it's just all crumbled up at the end. Got a little squeezed. Wow. Really dark piece there.
It looks like a little amoeba to the left of it. Right next to it.
Oh, right next to it.
Or is that mineral?
Close. Yeah, I think it's just this little piece of clay mineral. Oh, there's a nice amoeba.
There you go.
What's that? 4, 5 with that Arcella that we saw?
Yeah, I would say 5 anyway.
Not too shabby. Good, healthy number. Oh.
What's
That
that
looks
thing?
to be a bit bigger bug part. And then another one of these slightly different color pea pod thing,
Yeah.
and not uniform on both sides.
And no spores. No
Yeah.
little, might have been broken. Oh, there you go. Dude, that is definitely a diatom. I've seen those.
Hmm. Hmm.
It looks like the end just got blown off of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I find quite a bit of those around here. Or similar looking ones. Sometimes they have two of these nodules, sometimes three, like that one we saw before.
Have you ever seen the spiny fungi? It looks like you know those things they set up for tank traps?
Mm.
They're like they also use them for retaining walls on oceans. They kind of interlock together. So I found one of those and I shot a picture to Elaine of it. She goes, "Oh, that's a really rare type of fungi. I forget what she called it, but it looks like it's got all these spikes sticking out of it. It looks like like one of those burrs that you pick up off of a plant.
Yeah.
It only has like maybe 8 little spikes instead of thousands of them or hundreds of them.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever come across the spiky one. Seen like sometimes the arthropods or even bug legs, but they're huge, so you can tell that it's all the little spiky hairs on their leg.
Yep. No, this is like geometric perfection. Like you'd look at it and be like, oh, okay, this is something that is all its own. And the proportions are equal in all legs, all spikes. And there's no center. It's not like it has a center connecting the spikes. They just all come together in a perfect straight line. It's wild.
There's another.
Yes, it is, Peter. It's a jungle. If you're not moving, you are food. Well, we do have one question. While he continues to scan, Ken, do you want to hop on and let's go ahead and get that question answered or asked?
Well, that's the one from Peter from earlier. What does Leighton put in his compost piles?
I put in diversity, Peter. I can't stress that enough. I mean, I'll even be just driving along and all of a sudden I'll see something, and I always keep garbage bags and 5-gallon buckets in my car. And I'll just see something that jumps out at me, and I'll pull over and I'll scoop it up. Whether sometimes it's flowers. I've actually even thrown a few succulents into my compost pile out here because we have them. Typically, it's like maybe a pile of leaves that I've seen that got blown up, behind a tree or a bush. But yeah, I'm all about like as many different types of plants. And in every different type of form. So you want the dried form as well as the green form. And that's how I typically get the diversity I do achieve. Although out here in Southern California, it has been a bit of a struggle. The first 2 rounds of compost I made were starting in the fall. So it was the cooler weather. This past summer, this past summer, I had some piles that went hydrophilic, and I wasn't freaking out, but I hadn't got my water established yet. So I was like using 55-gallon drums and siphon, which is a horrible way to water. It just most of the water just runs off. And so I lost a lot of organisms, which I didn't think was going to happen. I believed that they were going to go into a cyst form, and all it would take for me to do is just add water and wake them back up. But come to find out that when the material goes completely hydrophobic, basically floats on the water, you've lost all your advanced predators. You've lost all your nematodes. So fortunately now I have 2 giant cisterns, so I can keep my piles moist. And I've had much better success after learning that lesson early this summer. Oh, there you go. Oh, we saw one of those already.
Yeah, the second one. This is
and it's definitely not. Yeah, it's definitely not going the same direction.
Yep, we're in the opposite corner of the slide right now.
Yep.
Go, hyphy, go. Yeah, I did have what was it? I had a couple of mushrooms pop up in the bed, but not too many.
Do you know what type they were? Were they the little black inky caps?
I think it was from the uh, what was it? There was just a little tiny 'cause I got the straw with I think it wasn't oyster mushroom and straw, but
So it wasn't the little black inky caps.
no, it wasn't the little black one. It was just a little kind of gray tannish.
Okay.
Kind of white when they first pop up, and then they turn a little tan.
So do they have like kind of ears like an oyster mushroom?
Mm-hmm. No, it was a little bit, kind of like the ruffled a little bit.
Thanks for that message, Sil. There you go, another amoeba.
Another amoeba. Oh yeah, I was gonna say and totally agree with Leighton, the diversity in the compost. One thing I've seen is coffee grinds seem to increase nematodes for what I've seen, and also doesn't seem to hurt with seems to help with the fungi numbers as well.
Another good
But
trick.
yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, another great trick is distiller's waste or brewer's waste, what they call spent grains. Amazing nematode food.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of like bokashi and stuff and tried to put a little EM in some grains and let it kind of ferment a little bit, then toss it in there. It's fun to do. Probably only did that once, but figure it's gonna do its thing in there in the compost pile as long as the environment's good. And let's see. Yeah, but definitely a little bit of everything. I have one of those little electric wood chippers that
Nice.
aren't really good wood chippers, but for chipping fine wood chips and adding them a little bit to your compost, they work great. It's like
you want those tender young branches because they have all of the hormones and stuff in them.
Yeah, it won't cut a branch bigger than your pinky, but those
those are
they have a bunch of willow shoots around that I grind in there, throw in there. But depending on the wood, though, if the wood's not super hard, then you can almost get a thumb-sized piece of softwood to go in there. But like an oak or something like that, you get sawdust coming out of the end, and it takes a while to just shove that thing through. But super handy for making just
there goes
mulch for the garden. And I always see a lot of nice, just with the naked eye, a bunch of mycorrhiza growing on the wood chips after I throw them in.
Yep.
And just try to, every time I throw in some grass clippings, I try to put in some browns, a little bit of wood chips, a little bit of waste from the kitchen. Just kind of slowly stack it up. All right, we got about one more scan to the bottom here. I think we got one more down and one more back up, it looks like, for this slide.
You timed that one perfect, my friend.
Oh, yeah?
The first one ended almost on time, exactly on the first hour, and almost perfectly on the second hour. So,
yeah, it's usually when you scan around, and once I've gotten my pace down, it pretty much always seems to be about 40 minutes if I go really quick, but usually takes an hour to go per slide.
Yep.
Nice. I believe that's another Arcella, perfectly round. A nice golden color. I see a couple of different shape organelles in there, I think.
Don't eat the chair. Oh, Tito, there's nobody here. Quiet.
It's decently uniform.
Quiet.
Just kind of left squished. That clear strand up the top right. Anyway, let's see.
Cheeto, there's nobody here, and I know you're just on attention. Come over here.
Oh, there's a.
What is that?
I don't know. It's very. I was gonna say it might be cellulose, like not unsprung.
Oh, it hasn't sprung.
Yeah. As far as the gas, you want to be there. Go up. Yes. I almost thought it was moving, not because of this bacteria pushing it, but
It does. It looks like it's about ready to spring.
yeah.
That's cool. That is
Right?
definitely cool.
It's funny we talked about it, and you found one that hasn't unsprung. Because typically it looks like a little mini tornado. It's got one tip
Yeah.
and springs to a wider open on the other end. Cheaty, stop eating the chair. I know you want to go for your walk. We're going to go soon.
Pretty neat looking. Let's see.
Oh, what's that little
Little,
spur?
little horn spur foot.
Yeah, claw of
Something.
some kind.
Yeah. Too big to be a claw of a tardigrade, unfortunately. But probably a little bug claw or foot. All right, let's see. Did we already see that? Did I already go down? Lost my track. I don't remember this aggregate, actually. Hyphy sticking out of
Looks like Poe.
it.
Or a puppy dog.
All right, let's see. Let's go over here. And we got about one more pan back up here. Just about to the edge.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and giving us 2 hours of your time to go on a safari, a microbe safari.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate the energy and the effort you put into this. So thank you.
And you said you're looking at getting into consulting, so I'm going to put up shootingthesoil.com. So maybe check out that in the future, guys.
Yeah, local consulting, and you could always also get in touch. And if you want me to microscope your soil, be happy to do so. Oh, there's a really nice.
That's a beautiful piece.
Fungal specimen. Big old one. Probably say at least 4, if not 5.
Yep.
Bacteria wide, so 5 microns.
And guys, just for anybody that didn't catch it, there's no show next Monday. I'm at the Grow Up Conference in Edmonton with Tommy Chong's going to be there. So if you guys are around Edmonton, you're going to want to check that out. Leighton, are you done with all your stuff coming up?
No. Well, yeah, no. There's the event at Peach Hill on November 1st, but that's
okay
for people who are out here. And then there's some other interesting stuff going on later this week that I'll probably talk more about in upcoming podcasts. Oh, look at that. That's cool.
You got a little.
If you're anybody that missed the contest, we're going to have another draw on Wednesday with Andy Lopez and myself on Gardens the Untold Story, and we're talking about making your own worm farm.
Nice.
Should be an interesting conversation. But guys, we're at the 2 hours, so I'm going to cut us off.
Mhm.
All right.
So
well, thank you.
Poe needs to go for a walk, and so does Cheeto.
Yep. And thank you again, Matt, for coming on and giving us a great safari.
Yeah.
Ken,
Thanks
as
for
always,
having me.
Yeah, and Ken, as always, thank you for all the hard work behind the scenes, putting this together, keeping it organized.
Yeah, thanks, Ken.
You bet, guys.
Good
Everybody, have a great next week. Bye-bye.